All right, start a little earlier. There's quite a few of you around already, about 65. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. There he is, Billy. He's been taking a lot of stuff down his eyes, but he's a lot better. He's going to the vet on Tuesday. I think he's fine now, so that's good. Cupid Stunt says, talking to some Romanian friends, Moldova looks good. Yeah, there are places in Eastern Europe that look really good. I saw a program about the German, a part of Romania that's very rural, that used to be inhabited by Germans. They've been there for hundreds of years, and they had to leave after the war, Second World War, because people didn't want them there. But there's some really nice old houses there. But personally, I think we need to wait longer. I think it's we need to let the dust settle. I know things might not go back to normal, but now with this tier system coming up in the UK, let's say you moved somewhere. Let's say you move to Kent and your family is somewhere else in England and they're in zone tier 1 or 2. You won't be able to go visit them. So all I'm saying, it's still early days. I think the grass always looks greener elsewhere, right? So Lord Humongous is here. Parbar, loads of people. Thank you for being on. High Grow Mechanic, Andy Hughes, Carlos Alexandros, hi Carlos, Shane Sturgis. We've got Andy Hughes. GeoFit, I have already precious metals, but I want to remove some money from my bank accounts. Should I buy real estate in Eastern Europe? Well, first of all, I mean, there's a lot of research you need to do. If you've been to Eastern Europe and you know the place well, you need to, you could do it. But if you don't, you should do what Vention did. Hi, Vention Migto. He's in Mexico. But I remember, was it a year or two ago, you went to Vietnam to do a bit of, you went to check the places out to see if you want to move there. Vention did that. I think he went to Vietnam a couple of years ago, and he didn't find it was the right place for him. So yeah, before you do buy any place abroad, I think you should go there, check out the country, check out the legal system, make sure if you buy a property there that it's easy to register it in your name and that everything's safe, I would say. Liam Renton from Scotland. So yeah, the title of the live stream today is about what to expect in 2021. Of course, as some people have, you had a horrible, was it Cambodia? Sorry, not Vietnam, Cambodia. Yeah, I remember watching your videos there. You're going down the river. Yeah, as I was saying about the economy, the number doesn't matter, right? 2021 or 2020. But I think it's going to be probably more of the same, unfortunately. And it looks like here in the UK, they're trying to really keep us, really bring the economy down, especially small businesses. I saw today a headline, Dominic Raab, he's the foreign secretary, he's saying, talking already about a third wave. I mean, these waves are so small, you won't even be able to put a little mouse on a surfboard and have it surf, you know. They're not like big Hawaiian waves, right? So I'm not too encouraged by that, even though you read, I read something in the FT today saying that investors are right to be optimistic about the economy, but then you read the rest of the article and they have a lot of caveats. So they're not even convinced, the mainstream, that things are going to get better. Tricky Dicky says, if you were a young man, would you stay in the UK? And what is your prediction for the next 12 months? And thank you again for the super chat, Tricky Dicky. Yeah, if I were a young man, where would I go? I mean, first you need to find a place where you can settle legally. You know, if you want to move, but you know, it's hard because like I said earlier, the grass is greener everywhere, and I think there are going to be opportunities even here in the UK. So yeah, but if I had to decide, maybe Asia, I think is going to do well. Asia is going to do well. Eastern Europe maybe as well. Yeah, so that's what I would say. But next 12 months prediction, yeah, I think it's going to get worse. I think in terms of the economy, I think still, if you look at the unemployment numbers in the UK, for example, it's still not very high because there's still a lot of people on furlough. But I think when the furlough ends next year, I'm not sure exactly when it ends. It was supposed to end in October. But a lot of companies are going to let their staff go because there's not going to be any business for them. It's only going to be the big corporations, big businesses that are going to survive. Of course, there will be some smaller businesses that will survive. So I think they're going to come up with even more borrowing. We saw last week the chancellor announcing more and more deficits. So yeah, being young and being from the UK, speaking English, you have a lot of choice because a lot of places people speak English and you can do well. So yeah, but it's not going to be easy anywhere, I don't think, because this agenda looks like it's a global one, unfortunately. Nice to see No and Lord Humongous here. So we've got 230 people already. Cupid Stunt, can you see Europe going up in flames? France really kicking off? Yeah, I saw that. I saw people set the entrance of the Bank of France, the central bank there, on fire. I saw the riots. I think it was yesterday. People are upset about police brutality. I saw in London there were protests yesterday. The police is being quite unreasonable. Yeah, I think especially if they start talking about a third wave, and yeah, people are gonna. I think the situation is really. It's almost like they're trying to provoke us and taunt the people, and that's not a good thing. I don't believe in violence. That's probably what they want, because if people rise up and riot, they have an excuse to crack down, and I think that's bad. And it seems like they're really pushing people, and that's not a good thing. GeoFit, what do you think about the future of the Middle East? A lot of countries are normalizing relations with Israel. Yeah, that's right. I mean, you look at Israel, you look at Lebanon. I know there's a lot of problems in Lebanon, but Lebanon is a really nice country. You've got the really Mediterranean weather. You've got the mountains. Yeah, Middle East. I've never been there, and I would love to go there. So Middle East looks interesting. The troubles there have been so bad for the last 15 years that you'd probably say it can't get any worse, right? And like you said, there has been a move towards peace with Israel from different Arab countries. I guess the wild card in the Middle East is still Iran. So I'd say that. There's a lot of YouTube channels. People travel around and to these different countries. I saw one the other day about Turkmenistan, and that's a really interesting country. They've got like loads of marble and statues, and it's really clean, but there's no one there in the capital city. And they have like a dictator who runs the place. They have huge gas revenues, But yeah, he's a dictator. But we have dictators here now. So anyway, the world's kind of crazy. John Lord, yeah, good evening, John. The Iranian nuclear scientist assassinated this week. I saw that. Yeah, pitchforks, Pablo Pina, yeah, or the guillotine they could bring back. Andy Hughes, I did see that he's got a new book, doesn't he? New Great Depression. Yeah, probably will. I think it's coming out. Like I said, January 12th. I think it's coming out. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I'll probably buy it. So, what about the currency? Because my title says, the economies and the currencies. Yeah, so I think the economies are not going to do well. I think the stock market, you need to be careful about the stock market. I think, yeah, we're going to see more and more fiscal spending, more money printing from the central banks, even though they're trying to say that they're limited. But I don't think they are. We've heard Neil Kashkari from the Fed and other Fed members say they can print as much as they want. So all they're saying they're limited to right now is because there's not enough debt to buy. So we'll have to, I'm sure once the politics is settled in the US, and that's a big question mark, I think, as well. And I would say if we do have a Democratic administration from January, and I say Democratic because it could be Nancy Pelosi, believe it or not. If the presidential election is not settled by I think it's the 6th of January, then you could have a situation where the Speaker of the House becomes president. But I think I would say if Biden is inaugurated, for let's say, it's going to be even more red ink, even though it doesn't really matter if it's Biden or Trump. The spending is going to continue everywhere around the world. What we need to understand is that the politicians, the central bankers, the Wall Street bankers, the people who are running things, they live in a Keynesian paradigm where they think they don't trust the market and people. They think they have to create the funny money to stimulate things, but all they're doing is making it worse. I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, they had to do save the system in '08, or else we would have had a Great Depression." But yes, we would have had a Great Depression, but it probably would have been finished by now when we'd be recovering. So what they did by doing that was just delay the Great Depression. And Jim Rickards seems to agree with me with his new title of his new book. Joker Alpha says Pelosi is no longer the House Majority Leader. Well, I think she got reelected, and I think the Democrats still have a majority. I'm not sure. So if it's not Nancy Pelosi, it will be the Majority Leader, whoever that person is. Biden is great for stocks. I'm not too sure about that. I think Trump did. I think the stock market on election night, November 3rd, was up 48% since the previous election. So Trump wasn't bad for the stock market. What about currencies? Well, currencies, so a lot of you probably heard me say already that all fiat currencies are sinking, and I think they're going to continue to sink. The dollar is going to sink as well versus fiat currencies, but I think gold and silver is going to outperform all of them. So, yeah, it's no point hedging with Swiss francs or euros, even though I think even though the euro is, people have been calling for the collapse of the euro is still holding on quite strongly. That's the way the markets are. The Viking. Gold support and resistance levels as of now don't really have levels. I mean, I do have levels, of course. I think 1825 is a really important resistance on the upside, and below probably 1750 because it's a kind of a round number. But timing wise, from what I've read a few analysts like Elliott Wave and other stuff. One guy said, and a lot of people expect gold to bottom soon, like end of November, beginning of December, but they're not sure where. And one analyst thinks that if we go up, start going up right away, like next week and the following week, then gold could be off to the races again. If it doesn't, it could drop back quite a bit towards like even 1650. And it sounds really bad, 1650, but we started the year at 1500. But we'll have to see. It's really, I think we worry too much about the price of gold and silver. And I have to say, I do it as well, even though we shouldn't. It's like our houses. We don't check the value of our houses every day. I think the most important thing is to hold on to your gold and silver, as I've said many times, especially in a bull market because it gets really choppy. Try to have some cash. And I'm not telling people they should have a lot of cash, but have some cash so when these movements happen, you don't feel as bad. So there you go. Liam Renton, thank you for your super chat. The question is, do you think we will see a massive systematic risk event like Jim Rickards sees in Road to Ruin? I mean, that is very possible, even though it looks like there's a lot of complacency in the markets. And why is that? Well, because we had a huge event in March. The system was almost collapsing. I think I interviewed Jim Rickards a little bit before that or around the same time. And we're talking about ICE 9. But the central banks were able to come and rescue, the Fed, the ECB, all the central banks threw everything at it. So there is complacency now that central banks can do, will save the day. But in the end of the day, central banks don't really create wealth. People need to have faith and confidence in the central banks. And it's all part of also the political system as well. I think people are losing a lot of faith and confidence. You see in Europe, in France, in the UK. I mean, I read a lot of the comment section in newspapers like the Telegraph, the Daily Mail, and people are getting angry and fed up. I know Daily Mail is a Tory paper. People are really fed up with the government. Same thing in the US, a lot of division. And I don't have to tell you what's happening now as it pertains to the election. People are losing faith and confidence in the media as well. The media is completely ignoring the fact that President Trump is trying to prove that there's been fraud. They're saying, you read the FT or papers like that, there's no talk about all the disputes that there are in Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, or Wisconsin, right? It's almost like they're putting it under the side. And I think that's very serious because when that happens, fiat currencies, their faith and confidence is to do a lot with the state. And if the state fails, that's why I think it's more important than ever to hold on to your precious metals. Bitcoin, Lord Humongous asks about Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin, in my opinion, one thing that I don't like about Bitcoin, even though I've done well from cryptos, not in particular Bitcoin, but from posting my videos on blockchain-based platforms, I've earned cryptocurrencies. I understand the concept, but one thing I don't like about Bitcoin is that we don't know who created it. Yes, they tell us there's a guy called Satoshi Nakamoto, but it could be anyone. And and The problem I have with Bitcoin, yes, it's very sexy. It goes up a lot, but it goes down a lot as well. It's not a stable store of value. And, if there is a systemic crisis, if things shut down, the banking system shuts down, and you can't access your bank account, you can, I'm sure if you have to go to a farm to get some food, the farmer will recognize what silver is. But if you go to a farm and you can't use your phone, maybe there's a problem with all the system coming down. And will he accept a Bitcoin? I'm not too sure. Maybe some will. So too volatile, like I said. But the technology, blockchain is a good technology. But I don't think the central banks want to use blockchain because it's too transparent. Central banks are not transparent, right? What the central banks want to do, in my opinion, is ride on the back of the popularity of digital currencies and pretend that their, the Fed coin or the Bank of England coin is better than, Bitcoin or Ripple or Litecoin. But unless they back it by something, I don't think people are going to have much confidence in it. So that's the way I see it. DMC, both said you'd have to take the mark one day to keep access to your crypto. Is that Bo Pony? I haven't heard him say that. And it's very possible. Vention Nigto, if the system goes down that hard, we'll be too busy running from cannibals to worry about Bitcoin. That's right. Chris High thinks I'm missing Bitcoin. Well, no, I'm not missing anything because I don't want to. I believe that gold and silver are the best alternatives to fiat currency. I don't think Bitcoin is, and I'm going to stick to that. There you go. I have other cryptos that I earn from my videos that I post on like Hive, BitChute, DTube, and Library. But I know what Bitcoin is about. But the problem I have with it, when you look at the thumbnails on videos or stories about Bitcoin, they always show you like a gold coin, gold-looking coin with a B on it. But I've never seen a gold Bitcoin. But I've seen gold coin. You can hold it. Yeah, I might be old-fashioned, but the track record as well of thousands of years, there's no competition there. Bitcoin, yeah, it might go to 30,000, but it could very easily drop back to like 5,000 or 3,000, and I don't want to sit through that, kind of movement with my savings. Well, I actually do have some money that I put like 4 years ago into one of Simon Dixon's funds, Bitcoin Capital 3. So I do have an exposure to it, but not through having Bitcoin. Will it go to zero? Like some people say, I don't know if it'll go to zero. But it could go back to 3,000, just like it did 3 years ago. Thoughts on Brexit, deal or no deal? Getting away from the EU central banks is a must. Andy Hughes, I mean, we're getting away from the EU. That's supposed to be like a Soviet construct. But look at what kind of world we're living in. The British government has become even worse than what the EU used to be prior to 2020. So I'm not even too sure if we're going to leave. Well, we might leave in name, but are we going to leave all, de facto? Uh, it seems like we're being run by authoritarians now. So, but of course, it's better to have just one dictator instead of two. So, yeah, leaving the EU is a good thing. I'm not too sure about the deal or no deal. It looks like we're probably going to leave without a deal. Things are so catastrophic already that we should expect more catastrophe. That's what you find out when you read about Weimar Germany in the 1920s, 1921, 2, and 3. Germans got used to having catastrophes happen to them. And I think that's unfortunately what we're experiencing now, not just in the UK, but all over the world. It's all catastrophes now, all the lockdowns, and it's a lot of scaremongering, of course. But yeah, unfortunate. So I don't see any silver lining for now. The best thing would be for governments to become less and less powerful. And I think they're shooting themselves in the foot by borrowing so much. And I think eventually they'll lose a lot of their power to bosses around, hopefully. Pabar, do you think we will ever go back to a direct money system? Well, yeah, that's after this forced digital currency. I hope so, and I hope so. We do direct. I mean, what you mean by direct is like free market money. I don't mind going having digital free market digital currency. Let's say Glint. Glint gives us the possibility now with the peer-to-peer to actually pay people with gold directly, really quickly as well, a lot quicker than Bitcoin with the Glinted. So I can send Lily Robin there. Hi, Lily. I can send Lily a gram of gold if she has a Glint account and the Glint app. So it's already starting to happen. I wouldn't mind that either. But yes, gold, silver, and gold coins. Many people think, oh, that's crazy. It's never going to happen again. But that's why I'm a contrarian. And I think it's possible. Something that no one expects, right? And you just have to go back to the early 70s and late 60s. People were still using silver coinage. So it's not that long ago. I mean, yeah, a lot of us, of course, weren't born then. I was in the 60s. But so it's not that long ago, and it's not that hard to imagine that they'd have to revert back to coinage. And I think I was reading today about the UK. They're going to stop minting 2p and £2 coins for the next 10 years, not because they want to take those coins away. They actually said because they had to mint a lot of them this year and they won't need so much, but they're also printing the most banknotes in history in the UK. So I don't think we're going to go cashless right away. People are still using banknotes and cash to store their wealth, even though they're starting to use a lot of digital and cards. So Joker Alpha, thank you, Joker Alpha, for your donation, super chat. I hear that the Comex may not commit on the gold contracts for December. What will this lead to if Comex cannot deliver? Well, first of all, Comex is only the exchange. So, and it's the brokerage houses that are members of the Comex that are supposed to have the gold that's on the list. The list of warehouse gold. And there's different kinds of gold that they have. They have registered gold, and a lot of people think that there's a new group of people, like probably wealthy families, who can't get gold in the normal bullion market, and they're trying to get it from the Comex. So what could happen? Could the Comex fail? I'm not sure they're going to fail, but they might have to work very hard in trying to source gold from London, for example, source gold from the GLD, because the people who run the GLD are the bullion banks. And I think they double count a lot of the gold that is supposed to be on the Comex is actually on GLD. So yeah, we could have a lot of disruption. But one thing that would help the supply of gold is to, if the price rises, that always helps shortages. If you let the price go up, right? And maybe that's why they've taken gold and silver down so much in the last week, so they can cover their shorts and start buying so they can deliver to the shorts. You know, the people, well, they deliver to the long, sorry, these family offices are very wealthy people. Because prior to 2020, Comex was just a paper market. There was very rarely any deliveries, but now these people are saying, "Oh, Comex, they deliver." You know, the contracts say they deliver, so they want delivery, and they have to give it to them, or else they'll lose all credibility. It will be interesting to see what happens in December. I think December 1st is the first delivery day. It's the first business day is when of the month, and I think the first notice day was already I think on Friday. So we will see what happens. Christopher Conover, thank you for your super chat. Some people say the EU experiment is toast and the euro will go the way of the dodo bird. With that said, how will it affect the value of my silver philharmonics priced in euros? Well, silver philharmonics are silver, and seeing that you paid me in dollars, I assume you're in the US. So it doesn't really matter, because if the Philharmonic says its face value is, I don't know if it says it's 10 or 5 euros, it doesn't really matter. It just what matters is that what people will give you for the silver. So it does, yeah. As for the euro collapsing, well, they've been saying that for 10 years, and it's still around. I think what could happen to the euro is maybe some countries could leave the euro, but right now it doesn't look like it. I saw that the Portuguese government bond, the 10-year bond, just traded at a negative yield for the first time. If you remember, 7, 8 years ago, Portugal was almost going bankrupt. People were talking about the collapse of the euro. And I think the euro could survive even if countries left, and it would probably become even stronger, unfortunately, for the countries that were left in the euro. If the south of Europe left the euro, you'd have Germany, Holland, Finland, and yeah, let's say, and maybe France that would be left as part of the euro. It would be a very strong currency. So I'm not too sure. It's not as easily predictable. What I think will happen, though, is that the dollar, the euro, the pound, the yen, every fiat currency is going to lose. They're going to lose a lot of purchasing power, but they're going to still be around. They're going to be called their different names. And what we might have, what might have to have is like some kind of reserve currency. And that's not what I want, but they would probably try some IMF reserve currency, let's say the SDR or something else, the IMF coin or World Bank coin, and they'll use that to be the reserve currency. But we're still going to be using our national currencies. That's what could happen. So who knows? Ideally, I think we will have to revert back to some kind of gold setup, gold and silver setup. Will it be direct to, a gold and silver system, free market system? That would be good. Will it be the same people still in charge, but having to back their currency with gold and having silver as coinage? Yeah, that would be good, but do we really trust these people? So it's very uncertain, but I guess one thing we need to keep doing is being our own bankers, central banks, like people say. like Jim Sinclair or Greg Manarino. It was Jim Sinclair who said it originally. Okay. Peter Wilson says, hit the thumbs up button. I need a bit of water. Lily Robbins says, also with Glint, when we have hyperinflation, I can turn my fiat paycheck into gold the fastest way. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Jillian B., what's your opinion on Bitcoin versus gold? Harry Chu. That's a good question there. Harry Chu says, is it true commoners used to use silver and the wealthy use gold? Yeah, I have a book about the Medici from Florence in the Middle Ages. Yeah, the commoners were not allowed to use gold. Yeah, they had to use silver, and a lot of times the very wealthy, the people who ran the city states, they used to debase the silver as well. I don't think it was so much that they couldn't use gold, but it was very expensive. So a lot of the commoners couldn't afford gold, and I think they were never paid though in gold. That's true. You know, they paid them in silver. Doesn't mean to say that silver, but silver is a good. I think silver is really the best money for the general public, for everyone. I'm not saying having a go at commoners or anything, but I think silver has been suppressed for a very long time, since the 1870s, when a lot of countries demonetized silver, including the US. So silver could make a big comeback. I think silver is really, I'm not saying I'm going to get rid of my gold, but I think silver will outperform. Peter Wilson, let me buy you a cold pint. My thirsty friend from across the pond. Thank you, Peter Wilson. Have a sip of my, it's just water. Don't worry. William Birkenroth, thanks, Mary, for letting me. Well, I didn't let you, let you trust Glint, but he says it is convenient, Glint. I have a Glint card. I do keep some gold in there, some fiat, but it's convenient. Some people, I know a lot of people don't like it. They like to have the physical, and I prefer the physical, but a lot of people like it as well. Like I think it was Lily was saying, when things are getting out of control, you can quickly switch your fiat into gold if you have extra to keep, in Brazil, for example, if you, back in the 70s and 80s, you would be crazy to keep a lot of savings in the local currency. So you kept it in dollars. And if you needed dollars, you held on to it and you sold it, and every month you'd have more of the local currency if you kept those dollars. And I think it's going to be the same thing with gold for everyone, for every country. So I think Glint is a good tool. Adam G, yeah, the quantum computing and Bitcoin, yeah, there's been a lot of debate about that over the last few years. And some people argue, though, that the Bitcoin crowd are prepared for it, that they'll fight it. Who knows? We don't really know who wrote the white paper, but that's possible. Let's see here. SC, can you see a revolution happening in the EU? Take a look at France. Yeah, I mean, France, it's been boiling over for a couple of years now. It started the yellow vest, even here in the UK. We had protests yesterday. The police are getting very aggressive. Yeah, they're really cracking down. In the U.S. as well, there's a lot of, I could see the U.S. splitting up. You could, have the red states splitting up and the blue states, two different countries. Yeah, the world is very uncertain. And it's not the end of the world, because you look back 200 years, there's, let's say before 1870, there was no Germany, right? You had all the principalities. Before 1860s, Italy was split up until the 90s, the Soviet Union. So political systems, political borders, they change. And I think we're going to see huge changes. Yeah, not only in Europe, but everywhere around the world. JMB, I'm going to have to delete that, remove that, because we don't really use foul language here. Sorry about that. I know you feel, I know the way you feel, but we don't use that. I'll have to remove that. Well, the Comex in March and April this year, they had shortages. That's why there was a big discrepancy between the cash price and the futures price. And they gave the excuse that they couldn't transport. They didn't have enough gold. They couldn't transport it from London. That was complete fabrication. The problem they had is that people actually started to ask for physical delivery. And I worked in the futures market for 20 years. And I can tell you that not only in gold, but any other futures contract, people hardly take delivery of the underlying, assets, treasury bond futures, treasury note futures. People hardly ever get the, cheapest to deliver bonds delivered. So but they had to, because they're supposed to be a physical market, right? But it will be interesting in December. We'll see. But I wouldn't bet, buy gold and have gold just because you think there's going to be a default on Comex. You should have gold because it's your only protection versus, currency debasement that's going to remain with us for many years to come. It's just beginning to get really bad. And 2020 has really accelerated that process that started really in 1971. So yeah, if it happens on Comex, a default, and the price spikes higher, fine. If it doesn't, fine. It shouldn't change your fundamental view of gold. Arving, we go. Thank you for your super chat. What's your number one pick? Gold, silver, or crypto? Second and third pick. Right now, it would be silver, gold, and crypto. So there you go. Patrick Peterson, are we going to see Joe Biden in jail for voter fraud this year? I don't think Joe Biden is compos mentis enough to have perpetrated possible voter fraud. So I think it would be other people. I think Joe Biden was just like a puppet. So, but he could get in trouble. Who knows? Mr. Guppy, I think the last few days of metals is not manipulation. It's liquidity grab because something's already starting to happen. Your thoughts? Yeah, I don't agree. I know a lot of people that I respect say that, gold's gone down because people need liquidity because they're scared of other markets. But how many people have gold? Less than 1% of investable assets are in gold. So that excuse that people are selling their gold to cover margins, I don't really believe in that. So yeah, there was manipulation, but there's also all the speculators that get into gold, or all the hedge funds, because a lot of hedge funds, by the law that governs hedge funds, by the rules that they're supposed to have, they can only invest in paper assets. So hedge funds, when they go long gold, they're not buying physical gold and storing it in their office. They're buying, GLD or the futures. So when the bullion bank's trigger stops, yes, people is going to start selling it, but they're selling the paper. Yeah, and there are people as well who are going to start selling some of their coins because they're panicking. And unfortunately, people have done that. Jack Nichols, thank you for your super chat donation. Thank you for your insights and dedication. Oh, you're welcome. So I spoke to Oliver Temple last week about what's going on. He's from Gold Investments, the bullion dealer that I have the promo code for, maneco64. And he said, yeah, it's been mixed. There's people, still a lot of people buying, but he said there's a few people panicking and selling their coins. Yeah, and that's what it does. Unfortunately, a lot of people who haven't been in this market for that long, they're going to get shaken out, unfortunately. But I think eventually we're going to look at gold, not by how many dollars it's worth or pounds or euros, but how many ounces and grams we have, or tons, if you're a billionaire. Tara L, thank you for your super chat. Do you see a depression coming with new printing? I think we already are in a depression. I mean, looking at the pictures from, I think it was Dallas, Fort Worth, miles of automobiles in line for food banks. All the, what's his name? He has a good YouTube video. I forgot his name now. I subscribe to him. He's in Palm Springs. He shows all the tented villages. Yeah, we're in the depression already. They're hiding it, of course. They're trying to say that everything is great. Unfortunately, it isn't. And I think even if we hadn't had the crisis that we've had this year, we're going to have a recession. Economies are slowing down. Yes, unemployment had gone down, but that was the unemployment. That doesn't count all the people that were unemployed. So yeah, and I think they're going to keep printing money, and that's going to make it worse because money printing, fiscal spending has all the opposite effects that they think it's going to have. And why is that? Well, you print money, you create money out of thin air, you debase the currency that people are holding, so they can't buy as much. So they're going to have a tougher time. The other thing is government borrowing crowds out the private sector, and governments are wasteful and they're inefficient. So yeah, I don't see it getting better. We should do the complete opposite, or we should have done it in 08. It's too late now. Let the business cycle do its job, but the central banks, politicians, they don't want to let the business cycle or the free market do its job anymore. So yeah, it's not going to be great, but it doesn't mean to say that you should be scared, because people can do well if you know what's going on and you protect yourself and you live within your means. That's all I can say, really. Bobby 827, UBI, Universal Basic Income, no vaccine, no UBI. Well, and that's why you need to be try to maintain your sovereignty and your monetary sovereignty and your savings, so you don't have to depend on UBI. You can tell them, you can take your UBI and put it where the sun doesn't shine, right? When the sun don't shine. Mr. Andy from Devon, any thoughts on local or regional currencies like the Totnes pound, Bristol pound? Yeah, I mean, that happened a lot also in the US in the 1930s. There are a lot of local currencies, and I know I might annoy a lot of the crypto people, and I think cryptos are kind of those things. Cryptos are just local currencies, but they're digital. So I think they could spring up, those local currencies, definitely. Mickey T says, USA is no longer a country but a corporation. Well, yeah, that's true. A lot of people say I think it happened in 1870, but you look at the Pilgrims when they went to Plymouth Colony. Plymouth Colony was a company, so actually it's nothing new. Yeah, Vention, I agree. Crypto is worldwide because of the internet, but it kind of, how can I say, it's similar to what happened in the 30s. People needed to find another avenue for exchanging, for surviving, and I think crypto is kind of like that. I'm not saying it's not going to survive, but I think it's the same kind of phenomenon. But I could see local small communities using their own paper currency. I'm not sure, it could work. Adam G, thank you for your super chat. He says, thanks for answering some of my questions in this and previous videos. Oh, you're welcome. Tara says she can move around the world, memorize 12 words, and move around the world with her money. Yeah, that's true. But a lot of people have no clue about wallets and passcodes, passphrases. I went to Italy last year, to Florence, and I took a few sovereigns with me in my pocket, and with all the other coins, and it wasn't a problem. I was able to exchange that for the local currency, and no problem. So you need to know what you're doing as well. So, but yeah. Victor Claudio, I think bartering. I think barter will come back, and people might think, "Oh, that's a bad thing," but I actually think it will teach people a lesson about money and what real value is. I think we've lived too long in the world where people think that money is wealth. All the money printing will solve all the problems, and what barter will do, it will show that you have to exchange value for value. So I think it could be a really good thing. Uh, and yeah, it's not very efficient, but it's from barter that money evolved, because money is just indirect exchange, right? It's a commodity. It's the most marketable commodity. It's something that everyone wants. So there you go. John Colorado, yeah, from Minnesota. Always confusing. John Minnesota from Colorado. Hi, John Colorado. Nice to see you. Yeah, Billy, he's been sleeping a lot lately. His head, look at his head, is hanging off the the sofa. Oh, John Colorado, he lives in Denver. He's visiting Minnesota. Okay. I've never been to Minnesota nor Colorado. I've been to quite a few states, but not those. We got 5 minutes still. Uh, OU Mike Gundy, hardest working dog in showbiz. Yeah, I was wondering if I could use the vet's bills. That he's been to the vets like 3 times. This costs a bit of money. I was talking to my wife. Maybe we can use that as a business expense because he's an important employee of what I do. Comrade says Guggenheim Investments putting in 10% of its portfolio in grayscale. Bitcoin will go up dramatically tomorrow. Not financial advice. Yeah, there's a guy from Guggenheim. I think he was at Davos this year, the World Economic Forum. Scott Minerd. He's actually very bullish silver as well. He said he thinks silver is going to go through the roof. Morris Flem bought his weight in tobacco. Yeah, tobacco is a good barterable commodity as well. Tobacco. I think after World War II, Germans used cigarettes as money. Bluefish, what could cause gold silver ratio to bounce back to 10 or 20? Well, the continuance of the bull market in precious metals, because silver always outperforms in gold, precious metals bull markets. I noticed as well that silver, I think, was it gold dropped 30% versus silver in March when precious metals corrected lower in March. And this time, gold has only dropped 10%, and that's a good sign. John Colorado, SCA shipping ETF. No, I haven't heard of it. I like Doug Casey. He's a clever guy, but I haven't listened to him about shipping. Shipping is a very cyclical business. My father was in shipping back in well, I think he started in the 50s to the 70s, 80s. And I always remember him telling me that it's very up and down. A bit like mining, I would say. So I think shipping could do well, yeah, if commodity prices go up, which I think they will. Commodities are going to go up. And why is that? Well, not because it's it's going to cost more to ship. And also the ship, if you ship a cargo that's worth, let's say $1 billion, but the price of that cargo goes up to 2 billion, they're going to, the shipping company will make more because they base a lot of the rates on the price of the, like in the 70s when the oil price went up, the ship owners, oil tanker ship owners did really well because they can charge more because the people shipping the oil are getting more. So yeah, shipping could be good, especially if there's a commodities bull market. I'll look into that actually. Could be interesting. Even though I've got my questions about ETFs, but Harry Chu, is it true that 55% of Bitcoin is owned in China? They just keep winning. Well, people don't realize it's not the government in China, but the Chinese people are really into their technology. So that's probably true. I'm not sure, but and I think South Korea are really big into cryptocurrencies as well. They're a lot more into their tech, I would say, in relative terms than probably anywhere around the world. Hi, Lord Humongous. Have a great lunch. Thanks for being here. We only got about, I'll take 2 or 3 more questions and we'll call it a day. We're up to the hour mark. The ECB is trialing their own cryptocurrency, Lagarde announced recently. Well, I think that's an oxymoron. A central bank will have a digital currency, not a crypto one, because the thing about cryptocurrencies is that it's decentralized. No one controls it. So yeah, it's not a cryptocurrency, it's a digital currency. So yeah, that's what we have to be careful with. These are not cryptocurrencies; they're digital currencies. What they want to do is bypass probably the banks and send the currency directly to the public, but it's not going to be crypto. Classic cars. Yeah, I mean, I think Greg Manarino is into classic cars. I'm not, but yeah, if you know what you're doing. The other interesting investment I heard about a couple of years ago, I went to like an alternative investment conference in London, and it's secondhand motorbikes, but not Harleys or Triumphs, but just Suzuki, Yamaha, and Honda motorbikes from the 70s, because the people that rode those motorbikes when they were like in their teenagers or in their early 20s, they're retiring now, and a lot of them want to go back to owning one of those. So yeah, motorbikes as well. But you have to know what you're doing, of course, if you're into those things. I'm not. Yeah, it's Jeremiah Babe. That's right, Euro Dude. Yeah, Jeremiah Babe. He does some interesting videos about what's going on in his part of the world, California, well, and the rest of the U.S. as well. Patrick Peterson, last question here. If you could take one politician from a country of Georgia choice, which is the most important to take away, do you think? I'm not really sure. If you could take away one politician from, I don't know. Don't understand that really. Manarino is a hot rodder. Okay. Susan Faust, when do you think the final reset will happen? Well, I think there's a couple of things I've always said. When the Dow gold ratio is near 1, I think we're going to be near resetting the whole thing. And the other thing is when the gold held at the Federal Reserve has gold certificates for those 8,000 tons that the Treasury supposedly holds. When that gold multiplied by the gold price equals, I think, over 100% of the Fed's balance sheet, or it could be the debt. Which one is it? No. Yeah, I would say, yeah. I got a bit confused, but I would say, yeah, 1-to-1 Dow gold ratio. I think that's when the reset will be complete. I don't know when it's going to happen. Last time that happened was in 1980. Before that was in 1932 or 33. So it doesn't happen very often. There you go. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. I appreciate your participation, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. There's Billy. He's getting up. Take care, everyone. Bye.